Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, US says Israel, Washington not behind Iran blast. UN chief strongly condemns attack on Soleimani ceremony in Iran. Iran vows to track down attackers. Donald Trump appeals to US Supreme Court over Colorado ballot ban that ruled him ineligible for state ballot. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins two-day Nepal visit for the 7th meeting of India-Nepal Joint Commission. And in cricket, India ahead in the second test against South Africa after 23 wickets fell and several records broken on day one at Newlands, Cape Town. News in detail now. After the twin attack on the 4th death anniversary of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani shook Iran on Wednesday, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei vowed revenge for the twin bombings. Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi also condemned the twin blast that killed nearly 100 people in the country's south, where crowds gathered to mark the 4th death anniversary of General Qasem Soleimani. Ibrahim Raisi said the perpetrators of this inhumane crime will soon be identified and punished for their heinous act by the capable security and law enforcement forces.
Don't doubt it. You will pay the price for this crime. These crimes that you have committed, you will deeply regret.
Meanwhile, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said on Wednesday that the US has seen no indication that Israel was behind Iran's twin explosions.
Certainly, our hearts go out to all the innocent victims and their family members who are obviously, their lives are going to be forever changed by this. But we don't have any more detail in terms of how it happened or who might be responsible for it. We have no indication at this time at all that Israel was involved in any way whatsoever.
And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly condemned the Iran bombing. The UN chief called for those responsible to be held accountable.
The Secretary General strongly condemns the attack today on a memorial ceremony in Kerman City in the Islamic Republic of Iran, which reportedly killed more than 100 people and injured many more. The Secretary General calls for those responsible to be held accountable. And the Secretary General expresses his deep condolences to the bereaved families and the people and the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he wishes the injured a speedy recovery.
And the members of the UN Security Council on Wednesday called on Yemen's Houthis to halt their attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, saying they threaten the regional stability, global freedom of navigation and food supplies. Addressing the Council's first meeting of 2024, Chris Lu, a U.S. representative to the United Nations, said that the United States believes the situation has reached an inflection point.
Many delegations expressed the view that today, in light of both the broad support for Council action and continued Houthi attacks, the United States believes that we are at an inflection point. These attacks pose grave implications for maritime security, international shipping, and commerce, and they undermine the fragile humanitarian situation in Yemen, damaging the ability of the international community to deliver assistance to more than 21 million people in need. It is vital that the Council speak, and speak now.
And 12 nations led by the United States are jointly warning Houthi rebels of unspecified consequences unless they halt attacks on Red Sea shipping vessels. Joint statement issued by US, Australia, Bahrain, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Italy, UK, New Zealand, Netherlands, Japan after the UNSC meeting on Wednesday. The statement reads, the Houthis will bear the responsibility of the consequences if they continue to threaten lives, the global economy and free flow of commerce in the region's critical waterways. And the US will continue to maintain a significant military force presence in the Middle East amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said that US remains focused to defend its national security interest.
The United States remains focused on working with a range of partners to help Israel defend itself, to surge humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza, and of course to defend our national security interests in the region. That most certainly includes protecting the free flow of international commerce in the Red Sea. Now, to accomplish these goals, we have established and will continue to maintain a significant force presence in the Middle East.
Meanwhile, UN Maritime Agency said many shipping companies are rerouting around Africa amid Red Sea attacks. International Maritime Organization Chief Arsenio Dominguez said that 18 shipping companies have already decided to reroute their vessels around South Africa in order to reduce the attacks on vessels. This represents an additional 10 days to the journeys and negative impact on trade and on increasing freight rates. Some of the largest shipping firms have stopped sailing through the Suez Canal, rerouting around the Cape of Good Hope and exacerbating delivery delays between Europe and Asia. In the biggest prisoner swap so far, Ukraine and Russia announced the first exchange of prisoners of conflict for nearly 5 months, with more than 200 freed by each side after what Moscow said was a complex negotiation involving mediation by the United Arab Emirates. Russia's defense ministry said 248 military personnel had been handed over by Ukraine. Despite the lack of any dialogue on how to end the 22-month conflict, Kiev and Moscow have held many prisoner swaps since the early months of Russia's invasion in February 2022. Prisoners embraced their loved ones after being reunited with them following the hostage prisoner swap between Russia and Ukraine. And the UN nuclear watchdog said on Wednesday his inspectors for the first time had been denied access to parts of Ukraine's Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station and had yet to receive 2024 maintenance plans for the facility. Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, said inspectors at plant had for 2 weeks had no access to the main halls of reactors 1, 2 and 6. The IAEA chief has visited the plant 3 times since the invasion, a complicated undertaking crossing the front lines of the 22-month-old conflict. Grossi has repeatedly called for an end to fighting in the vicinity of the facility to avoid any catastrophic accidents. And former US President Donald Trump has asked the Supreme Court to reverse the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to take him off the state's primary ballot. The state high court had already put its decision on hold until January 4th, stating that Trump would remain on the ballot if he appealed. Donald Trump is contesting the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to bar him from the state's primary ballot. He has also appealed to a Maine state court after he was barred from its ballot. The Colorado court concluded that Trump's role in instigating violence on January 6th constituted engaging in insurrection. A suspect was arrested after breaking into the Colorado Supreme Court building in Denver and opening fire at responding police officers. The suspect, who was not identified, was taken into custody approximately 2 hours after officers arrived at the scene. The suspect's motive for the break-in was unclear. The Colorado Supreme Court has been the center of a legal battle after it disqualified former President Donald Trump from the state's Republican primary ballot. Authorities have said nothing about any possible connection between the break-in and the Trump case. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson condemned the current migration crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border to seek asylum. At a news conference, he described the situation as heartbreaking and infuriating and an unmitigated disaster and blasted the Biden presidency for its policies. Though the arrivals have receded in the past week, paving the way for the United States to reopen legal border crossings on Thursday. U.S. and Mexican officials have agreed to strengthen efforts to curb the record migration. Biden's cabinet scheduled to meet with Mexican leaders in Washington later in January.
America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration. And today, we got a firsthand look at the damage and the chaos the border catastrophe is causing in all of our communities. The situation here and across the country is truly unconscionable. We would describe it as both heartbreaking and infuriating. Last month alone, we saw the most illegal crossings in recorded history. It is an unmitigated disaster, a catastrophe. And what's more tragic is that it's a disaster of the president's own design.
And the migrants from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, waded through the Rio Bravo River and navigated a Texan barbed wire fence to surrender to U.S. authorities seeking entry into the country. Migrants negotiated with officers near the fence before being processed. Migrants also forced themselves over barbed wire and rushing towards the border wall. Following these events, additional barbed wire was installed along the river bank. The government data release indicates that U.S. immigration officials at the southern border are set to process over 300,000 migrants in December, marking a record high for monthly entries. Now, the death toll from a powerful earthquake in Japan that triggered tsunami warnings rose to 73 on Thursday. The death toll is expected to climb as rescuers battle after shocks and poor weather to comb through rubble. Search for survivors under collapsed buildings is underway. More than 33,000 people have evacuated their homes and about 100,000 houses have no water supply. The full extent of damage and casualties remain unclear 3 days after the quake. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced plans to multiply the number of military and rescue personnel providing relief. Japan's government has opened a sea route to deliver aid, and some larger trucks were now able to reach some of the more remote areas. Now, the Japan Coast Guard plane that collided with a Japan Airlines jetliner at Tokyo's Haneda Airport did not have permission to enter the runway, according to flight control communications released by Japan's Transport Ministry. Japanese authorities said the Japanese Airlines flight was given permission to use the runway, while no clear takeoff approval was given to the Coast Guard plane based on control tower transcripts. All 379 people aboard the Japan Airlines plane were able to evacuate safely. 5 of 6 crew on the small aircraft were killed in the crash. Meanwhile, thousands of passengers were stranded at Tokyo's Haneda Airport on Wednesday following the deadly plane collision. And Japan Airlines has estimated that the collision of its flight with the Japan Coast Guard aircraft would result in an operating loss of about $104.81 million. The loss will be covered by the insurance, the company said. The company is currently assessing the impact of the loss of the aircraft on the consolidated financial performance forecast ending March 2024. Japan Airlines also said it will disclose any necessary information immediately as they arise. All right, time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Argentine court suspends labor changes in a blow to President Milei's economic plan. Detailed update on the Bangladesh polls to be held on January 7th. And World Braille Day today celebrates accessibility for visually impaired, fostering inclusion in education and empowerment through the tactile brilliance of Braille. A special story.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes. connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Namaskaram from Telangana, India's youngest state, a rising star.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Argentina's President Javier Milei suffered first judicial setback on Wednesday after the country's National Labour Appeals Court suspended a key portion of his emergency decree aimed at overhauling South America's second biggest economy. The ruling temporarily blocked enforcement of the labour regulations in Milei's decree, which includes more than 300 measures aimed at deregulating Argentina's economy. Labour elements of the decree include the repeal and modification of laws related to employment contracts, terms for dismissal, severance payments and more. The General Labour Confederation Union has staunchly opposed those measures, planning a nationwide strike set to kick off at the end of the month. The Milei administration said in a statement it plans to appeal the suspension. The decree can be repealed in Congress if a motion to do so passes the lower house and the Senate. Milei's party does not hold a majority in either house. Congress is currently in a special session called by Milei through the end of the month in an attempt to pass a sweeping omnibus bill, which critics have dubbed unconstitutional. Now, Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa said on Wednesday that he's seeking to hold a referendum on imposing tighter security measures in the South American country. In a nationally televised message on Wednesday, Noboa said he had submitted draft questions for the referendum in a letter to the Constitutional Court, which will have 20 days to respond. Noboa, a former legislator and the son of a prominent businessman, took office in November on pledges to reduce violence and create jobs via urgent legislative reforms. Now, the full election results on Wednesday handed Serbia's ruling party a major victory in the parliamentary and local vote, which was held on December 17th, amid protests that triggered thousands to protest alleged fraud. The Balkan country's President Aleksandar Vucic's Serbian Progressive Party has won 46.75% of ballots, while the main opposition camp, united under the banner Serbia Against Violence, secured 23.66%. Opposition groups have contested the results, and Serbian Progressive Party demanded an international independent investigation from the European Union. All right, moving on to our next story now. Amid elections in Bangladesh, armed forces deployment began in its 62 districts to ensure peaceful holding of the 12th parliamentary elections slated for January 7th. As the deployment will continue till January 10th. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's President Mohammad Shahabuddin, along with his wife, cast his vote through postal ballot, urging the countrymen to fulfill their civic duty by voting. Also, special cells have been set up jointly by representatives of the armed forces and law enforcement agencies across the country. Now, Sierra Leone authorities have charged 12 people with treason in connection with a failed coup in November. The accused includes a member of former President Ernest Bai Koroma's security detail. Gunmen attacked a military barracks, a prison and other locations in Sierra Leone on November 26 last year, freeing about 2,200 inmates and killing more than 20 people in what the authorities said afterwards was an attempt to overthrow the government. The accused, including ex-police and correctional officers and former Koroma bodyguard Amadou Koita, were arraigned before a magistrate in the capital Freetown on Tuesday. The Information Ministry in a statement said that other accused persons are expected to be charged in the coming days. A sweeping cold wave has tightened its grip, blanketing the world's northern hemisphere in frost. Icy winds and sub-zero temperatures are posing challenges for cities and people in the global north. On Wednesday, North India continued to grapple with cold wave and foggy conditions, and extreme cold weather hit Russia's capital, Moscow. Europe's Nordic region were also freezing, as these regions registered as low as -20 and -40 degrees Celsius, respectively. And floods triggered by Storm Henk continue to batter Britain's East Midlands. The storm has brought power outages. It has also disrupted train services. The authorities have issued a severe weather warning for the region. Large parts of England and Wales experienced strong winds and heavy rain during the storm. More than 250 flood warnings are in place in England, while thousands of homes are without power. The forecaster says further flooding, travel disruption and power cuts may occur. It comes as train services were slowly getting back on track after flooding and power failures on Tuesday and further disruptions on some lines throughout Wednesday morning. The storm has now largely moved into Scandinavia. Winds are forecast to be lighter and there will also be sunnier spells during the rest of the week. Henk was the 8th named storm in 3 months. It was named much later than usual hours before its impact because it was small and still developing early on Tuesday. American investment bank Goldman Sachs revised India's current accounts deficit forecast for the year 2024 to 1.3% of the GDP from 1.9%. The US bank expects services exports to continue surprising on the upside, while crude oil prices are expected to decline, improving external balances. Goldman Sachs also revised India's current account deficit forecast for 2023 to 1% of the country's GDP from 1.3% estimated earlier. Goldman Sachs has projected an overall balance of payment surplus of $39 billion in financial year 2024, but this is expected to decline to $27 billion in the year 2024-2025. Pupils of the Palace of Orphans in Turkmenistan received New Year's gifts from the president and chairman of the country. Popular pop singers performed in front of the children. Theatre groups and circus performers staged a show for the children. Among the gifts are sets of winter and sportswear, national dresses for girls decorated with embroidery and traditional sweets. The children also made the scenery with their own hands to gain knowledge and skill so that in adulthood they can fulfill their wildest New Year's dreams. The children's holiday ended with a traditional New Year's round dance. Now let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. El Salvador's government has started the demolition of monument to reconciliation, saying that the structure glorifies murderers. The monument was unveiled in 2017 to celebrate 25 years since the signing of the peace accords between the Salvadoran government and guerrilla organizations. The world's largest cruise ship docked in Puerto Rico ahead of its inaugural journey from Miami. Called Icon of the Seas, the ship is undergoing final inspections to ensure everything is ready for its debut journey. The cruise liner has 20 decks and it can accommodate up to 10,000 people. The researchers at England's Sheffield Hallam University have found out that a fingerprint test to check for breast cancer could eventually replace the mammogram. This move could increase the number of tests carried out and save more lives and money. Elvis Presley fans who missed out on seeing their hero when he was alive will be able to witness the king of rock and roll perform thanks to artificial intelligence. Elvis Evolution will be an immersive, interactive experience for fans to follow events through Presley's life and music. All right, time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. North India experiencing extremely cold weather and dense fog. Temperature expected to decline further. Kite preparation in full swing in India ahead of Indian festival of Makar Sankranti. And roaring success for Project Cheetah as Namibian cheetah Asha gave birth to 3 cubs at the Kuno National Park.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India. Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
The gateway to Northeast India welcomes you to the land of untouched natural beauty and diverse history.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, and viewers who have just tuned in, recap of what we have done so far. US says Israel, Washington not behind Iran blast. UN chief strongly condemns attack on Soleimani ceremony in Iran. Iran vows to track down attackers. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins two-day Nepal visit for the 7th meeting of India-Nepal Joint Commission. And India ahead in the second test against South Africa after 23 wickets fell and several records broken on day 1 at Newlands, Cape Town. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on a two-day visit to Nepal's Kathmandu for the 7th meeting of the India-Nepal Joint Commission. The India-Nepal Joint Commission was established in 1987 and provides a platform for both ministers to review all aspects of the bilateral partnership. During the visit, the Indian minister will also call on the leadership of Nepal and meet political leaders. Nepal's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Narayan Prakash Saud, held a meeting with former Indian diplomats to discuss Nepal-India relations, seeking suggestions on ways to improve them. Nepal is a priority partner of India under its Neighbourhood First policy. All right, let's go across to Kathmandu now, where DD India's Shweta Singh is joining us live. Shweta, tell us the significance of Dr. Jaishankar's visit to Nepal, Kathmandu, his schedule in detail, and also the agenda.
Abhishek, today when at 9:50, our External Affairs Minister will land in Kathmandu. He will be joining for a joint commission meeting. That's the priority today. So already here in Nepal, Foreign Minister N.P. Saud had been discussing aggressively with other diplomats, senior people, how to take this bilateral relationship ahead and make it fruitful. Because many a times you see discussions happen, but what we demand is an outcome. So to get a fruitful outcome, even in Nepal, they went for an aggressive discussion so that they have a good output and to have cordial relationship with India. As today, External Affairs Minister visits, after joining off after attending the Joint Commission meeting and the bilateral talks, he will be meeting President of President of Nepal here, and other dignitaries from different parties he will be meeting here. Tomorrow, we will have plantation drive here in Kathmandu, and then other, I would say, other arrangements are in Kathmandu for tomorrow. So basically, it will be like every aspect of your energy exchange, trade deficit. What Nepal is actually talking about is trade deficit with India. That it's more of importing things from India, and it wants their products to be sold in India as a market, and use the land for accessing to foreign markets.
Right, Shweta, a bit of analysis. How do we see this visit of External Affairs Minister, and why is you think Nepal important for India in the context of its overall strategic interests?
I would just reiterate what our Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, told when he visited Nepal in his maiden visit as a Prime Minister. He told India cannot be happy when Nepal is not happy. Yeah. So with our neighborhood first policy, Nepal holds an important place because see, it is a buffer zone between two great nations and emerging powerful nation, India and China. So it caters to our security concern too. And security of India and Nepal are both intertwined. You cannot see India's security separating it from Nepal because that's a huge front at north. So at security front, Nepal is definitely very important. And you know, Nepal is land interlinked. I wouldn't say landlocked, but we give them a huge platform to access foreign market. So I would say Nepal is like land linked with the world. So that way, we are India as a country, as a neighbor, is important pillar of support and you say a platform which gives impetus to its economy. Because you see, even recently there was a data out that Indian tourists recorded 30%. More than 30% in Nepal who are visiting here and running the economy. But more than that, if you see religious pilgrimage, it will be like more than 45–50% that Indian visits to Nepal. So this aids in development of Nepal. It boosts the economy. So Nepal is also dependent on India. And India is definitely, as a good neighbor, we are also dependent on Nepal for different aspects. I would say one is security, and energy is another thing. We definitely buy energy. We are the first, highest, I would say, importer of Nepal. 11 billion earning Nepal earned from purchase of electricity by India. So you see, it is a huge amount that Nepal economy is getting boost because of India. So both are dependent to each other. As a good neighbor, we support each other. So I think this 7th meeting of Joint Commission, this is the 3rd time our External Affairs Minister is attending Joint Commission meeting. It was the 5th and 6th, and this is the 7th one. Yeah.
All right, Shweta, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for the time being, but we'll keep taking updates from you. Moving on to our next story, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during his visit to the southern Indian state of Kerala, took part in a roadshow in Thrissur. Later, PM Modi took part in BJP Women's Meet. Addressing the gathering, PM Modi slammed Congress and left for not giving rightful place to women and ignoring the potential of women power. DD India's Aisha Khanam reports.
केरला की मेरी माता और बहनों, केरला थिले एंडे अम्मा मारे सहोदरी मारे.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the women gathering in Malayalam before starting his speech. The Prime Minister thanked women for arriving in large numbers to greet him in the land of Thrissur Puram, the world-famous festival.
आजकल देश में मोदी की गारंटी की चर्चा है, लेकिन मैं मानता हूं देश की नारी शक्ति विकसित भारत के संकल्प की सिद्धि की सबसे बड़ी गारंटी है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauded the sportspersons from India's Kerala who brought laurels to the nation. P.T. Usha, Anshu Bobby George, actress Shobhana, entrepreneur Beena, cricketer Minu Mani and Maria Kutti, a widow who took on CPM government to fight for her entitled pension, also shared the dais with Prime Minister. The Prime Minister listed a series of initiatives which he called the Modi Guarantee taken by BJP government in past 10 years to help women.
हमने 11 करोड़ परिवार की बहनों को पाइप से पानी दिया. ये क्यों हुआ? मोदी जुड़े गारंटी. हमने केरला की 60 लाख महिलाओं के बैंक अकाउंट खोले. ये सफलता कैसे मिली? मोदी जुड़े गारंटी. हमने 30 करोड़ से अधिक मुद्रा लोन महिला लाभार्थियों को दिए. ये कैसे संभव हुआ? मोदी जुड़े गारंटी. हमने प्रेगनेंसी लीव को बढ़ाकर 26 हफ्ते किया. इसे किसे संभव बना दिया? मोदी जुड़े गारंटी. हमने सैनिक स्कूलों में बेटियों की एडमिशन का रास्ता खोला. ये कैसे संभव हुआ? Modi ude guarantee.
The women from various fields who came to hear Prime Minister Narendra Modi were left inspired and committed to cause of nation building.
Aisha Khanam, DD News, Thrissur.
The Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, or I4C, has said that the highest number of reported cybercrimes in 2023 were related to work from home or part-time job scams, followed by illegal lending apps. I4C CEO Rajesh Kumar said that illegal lending apps are the second most commonly used tool by scammers, often operating from countries like China, Cambodia and Myanmar.
5,000 was the total number of complaints that are coming. Our estimate is that around 40 to 50% are originating from outside the country. But the rate of increase is decreasing. It's decelerating. It's not going exponentially, it is decelerating. So there is a point of inflection somewhere. So that was I was hinting at. Maybe because now in 2021, we had lesser number of people reporting. In 2023, we have a larger number of people reporting. Therefore, I use the term that it may be plateauing at. I cannot say for sure that it will not increase, but with the efforts that we are making, both ourselves, with law enforcement, with banking and telecom partners, we hope that these measures will help in reining in the volume of cybercrime.
Indian Navy continues to monitor maritime security situation in North Central Arabian Sea and Gulf of Aden. Indian naval ships and aircraft remain mission deployed for maintaining enhanced surveillance and undertaking maritime security operations. In the last 1 week, Indian naval task groups have investigated large number of fishing vessels and boarded vessels of interest. Indian Navy remain committed towards ensuring safety of merchant shipping and seafarers in the region. A court in northern Indian city of Jaunpur on Wednesday awarded capital punishment to the two Bangladeshi Harkatul Jihad al-Islami operatives in 2005 Shramjeevi Express blast case. The duo were convicted on December 22 last year for the involvement in a fatal blast in Delhi-bound Shramjeevi Express near Harpalganj crossing in Jaunpur district of Uttar Pradesh on July 28, 2005, killing 14 passengers and injuring 62. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across India with the aim to inform people about the government welfare measures by ensuring that the benefits reach their targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra has arrived at the districts of Palampur in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. The local communities responded to it with great enthusiasm and active engagement. On this occasion, several beneficiaries shared their progressive stories under the segment Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani. Now, India's Jammu and Kashmir will host the Mega Startup Expo on Thursday. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar will attend the event where innovators will unveil their groundbreaking work spanning the sectors of agriculture, industrial biotechnology and space.
In a historic moment for India's Jammu and Kashmir, a mega startup expo is set to unfold in the city of Kathua, marking a pioneering venture for the international border town. This Thursday, Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar will inaugurate the event. Under the theme, Emerging Startup Trend in North India, the expo will showcase 25 startups from North India.
Startup does not mean only IT, because incidentally it came from abroad, got landed in Bengaluru and got identified with IT. So this aroma, this vaccine, these are all examples of non-IT startups, which might require a skill of a different nature, not necessarily an IITian. And that is one reason why they are choosing B towns to have these expos.
The event's core objective is to create a convergence point for budding entrepreneurs and seasoned mentors, fostering innovation, collaboration and growth. The selected startups will present various innovations during the expo, allowing attendees hands-on experiences with cutting-edge technologies.
Just about 350 startups in 2014, we are more than 1 lakh. And that has also paved the way and sort of tried to give a different direction to the Indian mindset, that there is livelihood outside the government job, which could be sometimes much more lucrative.
Beyond the business realm, this expo holds significant value for local youth, students, budding entrepreneurs, young farmers and women in the Jammu region. The ultimate goal of events like these is to encourage the youth to embark on startup careers, contributing to the nation's journey towards self-reliance.
The Mega Startup Expo in Kathua is expected to be a catalyst for innovation and collaboration. A total of 25 startups from North India will take part in the event, which is expected to push boundaries, embrace change, and pave the way for a self-reliant future. With camera person Vinay, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
North India is currently experiencing extremely cold weather and dense fog causing disruptions in railway services. According to the India Met Department, very dense fog has been observed in specific areas of eastern Uttar Pradesh, western Madhya Pradesh and Bihar. The IMD took to X and shared the details regarding fog conditions observed in various parts of North India. And flights and trains were delayed due to adverse weather conditions with poor visibility and foggy weather affected the schedule of several passengers, leading to frustration and inconvenience. All right, DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya joins us for more from New Delhi. Tapas, North India shivers under the grip of cold wave and Delhi is also engulfed with a thick layer of fog. Tell us the forecast and how long will this extreme cold persist?
Well, good morning, Abhishek, and let's just get you the first the details. The IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, has said that places like Delhi, Haryana, Chandigarh, Punjab, some parts of even Uttar Pradesh, especially western part, West Rajasthan and East Rajasthan, they have the IMD has declared orange alert. In that orange alert is basically a way of telling that there will be concerns that the public need to understand and take the necessary precautions, keeping in mind. But I've spoken to today morning to some of the senior scientists of Indian Meteorological Department, and they said that today, in fact, Delhi has a shallow fog condition. Now, what it means is that the visibility is when the visibility is less than 200, we call it a deep fog or persistent fog condition. But when it is over that and somewhere in the over 800, it calls it a shallow fog condition. So currently Delhi is experiencing the shallow fog condition. The problem lies with the dropping of the day temperature. In fact, on Wednesday, some of the places in the national capital saw cold day condition, and the cold day conditions are currently prevalent in most parts of the national capital and the surrounding NCR region, that is the national capital region. The maximum temperature and the minimum temperature actually dropped at the city's base station, that is the Safdarjung base station, and yesterday the temperature was recorded at somewhere in the region of 15 degree, while the remember it's 4 degree below the normal temperature that is correct, that is supposed to be. And when I say 15 degrees, it's a maximum temperature I'm talking about. And the minimum temperature was also somewhere in the region of 7 degrees Celsius. So the difference between the day temperature and the minimum temperature was reduced. And that is where the main concern that we face in the national capital. So that's where most of the people are finding it difficult right now. But we expect that the situation when it comes to fog is expected to be better today and is expected to improve in the next coming days. Whether the temperature difference that I mentioned in day temperature and the minimum temperature, the night temperature will increase. Whether that situation increase, that will remain to be seen. When it comes to the transport sector, both flights as well as train services has been impacted. There were delays in both flights as well as in trains. Though there is no diversion yet, what we can tell you is that the several flights were delayed in the Delhi airport, and so same is the case when it comes to the train services, especially moving from the eastern part of the country and trying to enter the northern part of India.
All right, Tapas, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from New Delhi. The United Nations has designated 4th January as World Braille Day. Braille is essential in the context of education, freedom of expression and opinion, as well as social inclusion. This day also marks the birth anniversary of inventor of Braille, French educator Louis Braille. DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera reports.
It is World Braille Day and we are joined by Dr. Bharati from CIT NCRT, and disability inclusion has been her forte. She has spent entire her journey in enabling teachers, educators for inclusive classrooms. Dr. Bharati, we welcome you on World Braille Day. And in India, according to the reports from National Program of Control of Blindness, it is said that 12 billion people are having this impairment of visual impairment, and 29% of the people can only make up to this education system. As an educator, professor by yourself, how do you see that this involvement of visually impaired children or people in classrooms can be enhanced?
While teaching mathematics, if we are doing some worksheet or some activity in the classroom, say for example, in mathematics we often teach children about the shapes, different shapes. So for this, what you have to do here, see, this is the worksheet where the children are expected to match the shapes. Now each shape is made tactile by again adding a favicol. So that is why I say involving children with blindness or visual impairment in the classrooms is so simple as compared to the other disability conditions.
It is seen that the literacy rate when it comes to Braille in education system is just 1%. So what are the measures with which we can actually uplift this literacy rate in terms of Braille literacy?
Yeah, see, you and I being sighted, we learn through print. But for children with blindness and visual impairment, their written mode of expression is through Braille, or which is also known as tactile script, because you touch it and you feel it and you read it through your fingertips. So for that, we need to spread awareness about Braille among the teachers, among the parents, among the siblings and the peers also, and of course children with blindness and visual impairment.
Although it seems a difficult task to educate children with visual impairment, but with such techniques and methodologies and with the right approach of Braille practices in classrooms, teaching and learning can be made easier. With camera person Shiv Suman, I'm Kriti Vadhera reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
Well, let's take a look at other stories making news across India. Kite preparation in India started ahead of Makar Sankranti. The festival is celebrated with kite flying across country and marks the beginning of the auspicious period of Uttarayan. Namibian cheetah Asha has given birth to 3 cubs at the Kuno National Park located in Madhya Pradesh state. India's Environment and Forest Minister Bhupendra Yadav, announcing on social media platform X, wrote, "This is a roaring success for Project Cheetah, envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to restore ecological balance." All right, time now for another short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Tokyo Stock Exchange marks moment of silence at 2024 opening session as a tribute to earthquake victims. And home to many species, London Zoo begins animal stocktake.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. The Tokyo Stock Exchange held a muted opening ceremony on Thursday after Japan's start to 2024, including a major earthquake and a deadly plane collision. A minute of silence observed before markets opened for the new year. Meanwhile, the Japanese government and Bank of Japan have requested support to provide financial services in areas affected by January 1st earthquake. Sports now. We'll start with cricket. India is ahead in the second test against South Africa after 23 wickets and several records fell on day one at Newlands, Cape Town. South Africa was 62 for 3 in their second innings, trailing the tourists by 36 runs. Aiden Markram remains unbeaten on 36 and David Bedingham is on 7. They will hope to bat on and set India a challenging target on second day. Tennis now. World number 1 Novak Djokovic expects to be back in full shape for the Australian Open starting next week after a wrist injury prevented him from finding his best level during a 6-4, 6-4 defeat by Alex de Minaur. Djokovic suffered his first defeat in Australia for 6 years as de Minaur put the hosts on course for a 2-0 win over Serbia in the United Cup quarterfinals. The 2024 Australian Open will be played between January 14th to 28th. Now let's take you to London Zoo. From the mighty tiger to the endangered giant Galapagos tortoise, London Zoo embarked on its annual stocktake on Wednesday, counting roughly 14,000 animals. Home to more than 300 different species this year, the zoo expects to open a new reptiles and amphibians house, which it hopes will educate visitors on conservation. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.